Hey there, everybody. It's been a while since I've gone live. Um, in this video, I want to talk about a really important key, your truth. And specifically, what is your truth? So, a lot of us, starting in childhood, were conditioned to, I guess, in a nutshell, to be people pleasers, to try to be perfect, whatever perfect looked like to your mom or your dad or maybe your siblings, maybe even kids at school. And we were also taught to achieve or go for certain things, whether it was grades or sports, etc. So many of us, because we were trying to please others or trying to be perfect or trying to achieve, we actually stuffed who we truly are. We stuffed our wants, we stuffed our needs, we stuffed our desires. And when I talk about desires, I like to talk about all 7 life areas. So the areas of self-love and trust, the areas of relationships, health, mind and body, spirituality, our passions or hobbies, some of you call them, our purpose or career, also money and material things. So given what we grew up in, we often didn't follow or didn't learn to not express what we wanted and who we truly were, for fear of not getting love, not getting approval, not getting attention. Some of us fear of worse, conflict, maybe verbal abuse, physical abuse, or sexual abuse. So those are kind of all the reasons why we've stuffed our truth. But now is the time, and many of you have been on this path for some time, many of you, you're new to this path, is now it is time to really start to clear that conditioning, what I call the 3 Ps, clearing perfection, people pleasing, pretending to be superhuman, and really looking at what is true for us. What do we desire? What do we want and need in all those areas of our lives in order to be healthy and happy? Many of you watching this have a chronic illness. It might be pain, it might be an autoimmune disorder, it might be headaches, it could be excess weight. Fill in the blank with pretty much any symptom or illness out there. We know from a mind-body spirit healing philosophy perspective that you have an illness or disease because you're not in alignment with your truth. Okay. So number 1, it's discovering what are those thoughts and beliefs, those limiting thoughts and beliefs that are keeping you from discovering, could be keeping you from fully discovering your truth in all of those life areas. Okay, so how do we do that? In a nutshell, and we're going to go deeper into this in this month's program, the Vibrant Body and Abundant Life Mastery Program, Peace and Passion Retreat. You can find those links below. But in a nutshell, you're going to look back at your past, go through each of those life areas I mentioned, and ask, what beliefs might I hold about myself or about this life area, given what I saw and heard growing up? Okay. So we often model or take on the belief systems of our parents, our culture, our peers. Then you're going to want to learn and use tools to shift those belief systems, right? So we have to clear the conditioning in order to fully discover our truths, our wants, needs, and desires in all life areas. So one of my favorite tools, which if you've been working with me or in my community for any period of time now, is the guided therapeutic meditation process. And I did put a sample practice up for you guys to use. Those help to get in touch with who you are, but also to clear the conditioning, the belief systems, which if we don't do that, it'll hold us back from fully discovering and then living who we are. So discovering and clearing the conditioning or the beliefs, number 1. Number 2, really beginning to look at each life area and asking, what do I want, need, and desire in this area? Not what others told me I want, need, and desire, but what I actually want, need, and desire in this area. And that's going to take some time. This isn't something that happens overnight, typically. The process begins, but it's something you continue to go back to. And I will tell you, for myself and for all of the clients that I've worked with over the, since 2008, pretty much, that it happens over time. Many people work with me for 1 to 3 or 4 years. And every year it's like more conditioning comes off, is cleared. Conditioning from this lifetime, but there's also past life stuff as well, just saying, and ancestor stuff. They go deeper and they find more of who they are. That's sometimes why it takes a couple of years for an illness to fully heal. The process of that has sped up for a lot of us, but yeah, be patient, right? Because you've been stuffing who you truly are for so long, which is at the bottom of, or the root of. So taking time every week or every day to ask, what do I want? What that is. And then the step after that is to express that. Express it with people in your life. And action. So it has to do with expressing to your loved ones, but also for you to take small, tiny action steps to fully live them. So let's just go through, I'll just give you an example, one of my examples. So one of my desires in the area of passions is very much to travel. I love traveling. And I really desire friends and a partner who want to travel with me. So sometimes that means just a camping weekend. Sometimes that means a week-long trip, per se. So as I'm reflecting on the travel that I want, need, and desire for 2019, or for the next year, I'm really, looking at what is it that where do I want to go? How often? And then I'm sharing a friend today, this morning, that I really want to go on a warm ocean adventure in winter, January, February. And so we're starting to talk about that. I'd like to go with her. I'd like to go with my sweetie on a long, big trip next year, somewhere international. So we're beginning to talk about that. I love to go on hot spring trips. So we're beginning to talk about that. I'm also looking at a solo adventure or trip for next year for myself. So I'm discovering that's a want, need, desire. I'm expressing it with my loved ones, and I'm starting to take action steps, doing research, thinking about what months I want to go. And of course, the money piece, looking at how much money I will need to do that. So those are little action steps that I'm taking. Okay. And then it'll be putting them on my calendar, calling places, getting things booked. So that's just an example in the area of passions. Another example might be that I really desire going out for live music once a week. Okay, again, I'm talking about passions, but this kind of also goes with relationships. Again, I like to do that with my sweetie at least once a week and or friends. Okay, so discovering that, expressing that. And here's where I'm going to move into, we're also talking this month about boundaries. And so number one, we have to discover our truth and what we want, need, and desire. Then we have to express it, all the while clearing the fear and the conditioning, the belief systems that could hold us back from doing that. And then once we've acknowledged to ourselves and expressed to others, we might need then to set what I would call some boundaries. Like, I really need this to happen by this time, right? Or I really need this to happen once a week in order for me to feel happy and fulfilled when it comes to live music or going out to dinner. which is another thing I really like to do. So, so then it's learning to and beginning to, if your needs, wants, and desires aren't being met when it involves other people, that you begin to set some boundaries, right? Like, I need this to happen by a certain time, or I'd really like this to happen by a certain time. Another example, and this kind of goes with relationships and self-love, is if you have been hanging around with people who have been a little, let's just say, critical or negative, you may decide that, you know what, I need to set a boundary that I don't want to be talked to this way anymore. Or when we out, just can't, okay, we need to have equal sharing back and forth. So that's kind of a self-love relationship type boundary, right? So beginning to speak. And then if our wants, needs, and desires that involve other people aren't happening, then we're going to need to set some boundaries. Hey, this isn't okay with me. Or, hey, I really need this to happen by this time in order to honor myself, in order to love myself. So yeah, those are just a few little pieces when it comes to boundaries. And again, many of us didn't learn boundaries growing up. So we're going to need to look at, again, discover, and then shift those fears and belief systems. You might have a belief that it's not safe to express my truth because in the past it wasn't. Right? So the opposite truth is it is safe now. And I am capable of handling, when I express other people's reactions because I'm an adult now. So again, clearing the belief systems, the fears that could hold you back from speaking, discovering, expressing your truth, and setting boundaries when necessary. Then for what it, if people need to leave your life because they're not in alignment with your truth, new people will come in. That's an opposite that I have to work with a lot with my clients. So yeah, those are some things to get started with. And if you want to go deeper with me into discovering, living your truth, having help with boundaries, healthy boundaries with yourself and others, as well as discovering and clearing those belief systems in fears that have likely been holding you back, like they have been for most of my clients, and essentially making you sick because you're not doing those things. There's a couple options. The Vibrant Body and Abundant Life Mastery Program, you can check out the link for that below. We're going to be focusing deeply on your truth and boundaries this month. We have a new key every month, new guided meditation practices, clearing processes, belief systems, again, from this lifetime, past lives, passed down from ancestors in your DNA. Clearing all that is what we do monthly as part of our journey together. You can also join me for the Shorty program, the Peace and Passion Virtual Retreat that runs for 4 months. And this month we are going to be starting with that key again, your bound. Find that below if you want more. You might be called just to have a one-on-one session with me. There's a link for that below too. And just remember, if you're watching this in November, shortly after it's gone live, the holidays are coming. And many of us get triggered even more in our 3P patterns during the holidays. So I'm also doing a live release the 3Ps, perfection, people pleasing, pretending to be superhuman, starting this month for the next 3 months. So it's really important this time of year, especially, to get extra support, whether it's from me or somebody else. You deserve it. You can gift yourself that for Christmas, ask for someone else to pay for it and gift it to you. Just throwing that out there so you get the support that you need as we slide into the holidays. So if you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up below. Feel free to share it with others. Would love comments, struggles, ahas, etc. Whatever you want to share below. And I think that's it for today. So there you have it. Living your truth. What's your truth? Discovering what it is. to block you from discovering and living your truth and setting boundaries when necessary. All right, have a beautiful month. I hope to support you soon. Bye.